We're live. All right. Let's say hi to our old friend Jerry here.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Mitchellike, and you're listening to the first Focal Plane podcast with Sean, Chris, and Rooster. Get some.
Chris, you look perplexed. What's going on?
Yeah, I love all audio.
I know the problem here. Chris, next time you're over at Jerry's house, you got to tell him about that melanoma on his right forearm. It's looking like it needs attention. That's probably what you were thinking, isn't it?
You're assuming I haven't told him already. I said, buddy, Jerry,
Wow, okay.
Jerry. We've been friends for how long?
Jerry, baby.
Yeah, Jerry, baby, come on.
Hey, gabagoo, Jerry.
Anyways, welcome to the first Focal Plane podcast, episode 68. As always, just reading it as it was
dramatic process.
First Focal Plane podcast is brought to you by EM Precision Rifles. Want to get into the precision rifle game? Why not hit up Shane at EM Precision Rifles and get you a sweet Curtis custom action, an international barrels tube. That's a barrel tube. That's redundant. Anyways, and an MDT chassis to spice up your life. Distributors for MDT, IBI, Curtis Custom, Stiller, Trigger Tech, Macmillan, anything you want, Steve will build it. If you tell Shane that we sent you, expect white glove service and nothing but quality. You will not be disappointed. Optional. I'm reading it as it's written.
Holy
Is
fuck.
this your first time on the show?
Oh my God.
Want a kick-ass truck gun? How many actions in 223/556 in a JTAC Industries compact collapsible chassis with a shorty barrel, make for a compactability like no other. Optional.
You missed the asterisk. Oh my God.
I'm not done the ad read yet. There's just a
Yeah.
dramatic pause.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about this thing.
Show it safe. Come on. There you go.
Safe.
Oh, good Lord.
Anyways, get
And
one.
we're off of YouTube.
Get one.
Yeah.
Where can people get one?
I don't know. I
How?
think I just broke everything. Well, how they can get them is by hitting up Shane and EM Precision on Facebook, Instagram, and on their website at emprifles.ca. Back to you, fuckers.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
Oh,
That
guess
may
what?
be my best intro yet. I'm just putting that out there.
There's a fine line between most entertaining and worst.
I'm straddling that line right now.
Optional.
Good God.
Kurt, can you one up him?
Not at all.
Not try.
Not
Kurt's
even
gonna fall
close.
asleep.
Yeah. I need some bolt action coffee.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ooh.
Because, they're a Canadian veteran-owned and operated business. The Bolt Action Coffee team is passionate about long-range precision shooting and the pursuit of the world's best coffee. All the beans they procure and roast is specialty coffee, which makes up the top 2% of coffee in the world in any given harvest. Specialty coffee provides superior flavor to any other standard coffee on the market today and is truly a unique experience. If you like coffee, you will love Bolt Action, a higher caliber coffee experience. Check them out at boltactioncoffee.com to order online or look for Bolt Action Coffee in local retail stores stocking in your area. At checkout, use First Focal Plane for 10% off your order. Doing so supports the show.
One more time with gusto. Oh, man.
Action Coffee is a Canadian veteran.
He was just trying to even things out.
No kidding.
He was just trying not to fuck it
Oh,
up.
you guys are killing me tonight.
Yeah.
podcast standards is going to be on me. Like, who's the guy reading the optional? Anyway,
The Podcast Standards Council, that's a thing
yeah,
now?
no, it's
Yes.
not. I just
It
made
will
that
be
up.
after this.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how the Podcast Standards Council was formed.
All right, last but not least, Odell Engineering, the geniuses behind the Canuck line of firearms. Odell Engineering is your premium importer and distributor of some of Canada's top brands of firearms, including Bergera, Rock Island Armory, Mission First Tactical, Hyperfire, and of course, the Made for Canada Canuck firearms. Find their products and a dealer carrying said products at www.odellengineeringltd.com, on Facebook at Odell Engineering Ltd, or walk into your local gun store and tell them Phil sent you. There, that was flawless.
That was much better than mine.
Yeah, you're way better than any of us. Fuck.
Well, pulling out the radio voice. Coming up next, we got Cindy. I know that's the stripper voice. Sorry. Anyway,
Right.
So Ken, how you doing, buddy?
All right.
All
Who's this
good,
guy?
guys. All good. Thanks for having me.
Before we get going here, Mr. Bernie Paul, friend of the show, says, love the affordability of Vortex. Also very reliable.
The ass kissing starts early.
It already begins.
Right
It already
away,
begins.
too.
I'm sorry, Bernie, but he's not here to give away products.
Yeah.
Or is he? No, I'm just Ken's fast and loose. I know how he rolls.
for the one or two people who might not know, our guest tonight is Ken Thiessen with Vortex Optics Canada. You can tell by the fact that he's wearing a Vortex shirt, and Sean has a Vortex green screen.
Yep, and a Vortex hat.
And I missed that. Yeah, and
I'm
the Vortex
shilling
hat.
hard tonight. Hard. Yes, I can't be
Appreciate
bought.
the love. We appreciate the love.
I'm kidding.
So, Ken, you've been on the show before, but you weren't with Vortex last time you were on the show. So tell us about Vortex and what you do with Vortex.
Yeah, so a few changes in the last, I guess it was probably about, it's almost a year, 11 months probably since I was on the show last with you guys. So a few changes. Those of you who would have known in the industry, I was with Bullseye North for quite a while as the operations manager there, running that shop. Made some changes this summer and had the opportunity to join the team over at Vortex Canada as their technical field advisor, which is my official title. So things are never the same each day. Lots of different things I have my hands in, which is kind of cool. So it's been really good. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, I've known the guys. Had Vortex Canada there for years, working with those guys closely, just from the retail end of things, but also as one of their pro staff for a long time. So it was kind of a pretty easy move over. Yeah, easy transition. Yeah, so it's been great so far, and I can't say enough about those guys.
Nice.
What does a technical field advisor do?
My role has not one specific job. I've got my hands in a little bit of everything. So I'm helping our service department with customer inquiries and diagnostics help. We're testing product. I'm helping, with internal SOPs, with procurement, a little bit of everything. Working with the marketing manager on sponsorship programs and different things like that. So given my experience in the retail field and my skill set, obviously I've got a lot of different things that I can help with, and I've got my hands in a little bit of everything. So yeah, it's good. Like I said, not any one day is the same because I'm always doing something different. So yeah.
So not everything comes down from the mothership in the States there, with regard to marketing and all that kind of stuff. You guys have a lot of freedom that way yourselves in Canada here.
Yeah, we do. It's Vortex USA does a fantastic job, and obviously we try to work very closely with them. But we have our own team that looks after marketing and promotions and different things like that as well too. Obviously, we try to do things very similar to keep the continuity across the board from country to country. But we are somewhat our own thing.
So country to country. Sorry, Chris. One more, and then you can have it.
Yeah, do it.
How many countries are you in, like the distribute out of, I suppose?
That I don't know an exact number of Vortex.
Got him.
I know that's one I don't know.
Sorry.
But it's if you look at the reach, I mean it's worldwide. So
Yeah.
Vortex USA, they're the head company. Vortex Canada, is not directly under Vortex USA. It's the Canadian portion is our own thing, and as well as everything else in the UK and Australia, everywhere else, right? So
each country is headquartered independently, you mean?
from what I understand, yeah. Each country's got their own distributor that maybe looks after the country. So Vortex Canada, like I said, is a separate entity from the US counterpart, but we work very, very closely with them because we are essentially the Canadian distributor for the product. So
yeah. So is all the R&D done with Vortex USA?
Yeah, all R&D and
product development, all that.
Everything is done stateside. So with that being said, there's a lot of stuff that we're not privy to because they hold their cards pretty close to the chest. So a lot of the new product stuff, I mean, I might find out the same time you guys do with some of the stuff. It just depends on what it is. We may have a little heads up, but yeah, sometimes it's they've got certain products in development for years and testing that they make sure it's ready to go before it goes to market, right? And some of that stuff we won't know right till the last moments. So
yeah. So speaking of that, we're already getting questions. So Jamie Barkwell wants to know if you have any Gen 3 info. He'll have the info the day that you do, Jamie.
That's probably one of them. So it's funny. I've been hearing that since I've started, basically. It's like, hey, what do you know about the Gen 3? What do you know about the Gen 3 Razor? Well, truth is, we have a Gen 3 Razor, and it's the 1 to 10. That was coined the Gen 3. So that's the official Gen 3.
Okay.
Are they doing something with another version of our Razor lineup? That I honestly do not know. Can there be some additions to that lineup? Yes, probably. And looking at the different disciplines that are starting to become very popular, ELR being one of them, and a bunch of different things, I really hope they shift some focus there. But Jamie, between me and you, at the end of the day, you'll know probably when I know. But yeah, it's one of those things. We get questions a lot with, what's on the pipe for new product, and sometimes we just don't know.
And speaking of the Razor, why bronze?
Jesus.
I know that wasn't
you
your decision.
love that, hey?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think, and I don't have an official answer for that, but I'm just going to go on a whim here and say, if you look at every other optic company out there, they all look the same from 10 feet away. It's a black tube with some lenses in it. So why make something a little bit different that, hey, that is that color. I know exactly what that is. So could have been a bit of a marketing ploy there, maybe.
That's a good answer.
They obviously have done well with it because, to be honest, if you see that color on something, you know right away what it is.
And I do see it a lot, especially like on YouTube videos, especially. The people seem to really like PewTubers, especially, really seem to like the Razor.
Yeah. I mean, I'm partial to them. I have been for years before I've been officially part of the inside team there. But yeah, I've got a couple of them myself, so they're pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, I should probably get one. I'm just too cheap. I'm still sitting here with the Strike Eagle.
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's a great optic. I've got one of those myself.
Yeah, I love this thing. It's amazing.
What I really like about that specific, setup, whether it's the 1 to 6 or 1 to 8, those low power variables are so good and so multi-purpose, because you can use that thing on a 1 power, just like a red dot. And if you want a little bit extra magnification to stretch it out a couple hundred yards, it's there. Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the 3-gun guys started with the 1 to 4 Crossfire, and then once this 1 to 6 Strike Eagle came out, they switched to that for good reason. Like you said, it's like a red dot that you can dial up to 4-6 power if you need to hit those longer distance shots. So
this one's the 1 to 8, and that's exactly what I was thinking with it. Is like, this is my hunting rig. So I, putting the 1 to 8, I really don't have to worry about whatever distance I'm going to be. Like, I can come around a hill and accidentally be face to face with them, and dial it down to 1.
Yeah, and you're ready to go. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the
Because that happens all the time, you know.
a lot of the the CQB style stuff and the guys that kick doors, they like that kind of stuff, right? They like they like that low power variable stuff for that exact reason. So point and shoot, both eyes open.
So this Ryan McLean chimed in. Ryan McLean with MDT, and about the color of that scope. I'm assuming is what that is from a good source.
Has to do with not showing up well with thermal. Isn't that interesting?
There you go.
Yeah.
I know I am constantly hunted by people who use thermal imagery.
Yes.
So
now I want a piece of it. The podcast wants a piece of the action now. If sales go up for the razors because of this.
Yeah, exactly. And all the preppers are like, really? It does?
Yeah. Look, I'm getting
ordering it right now.
Yeah.
Give me 2 of them. Yeah.
So all this talk about the razor. You went to King of 2 Miles this year.
Yes. Finally.
It was good to see you there.
It was
good to see you perform.
Yeah.
What did you bring to that show?
I selected, out of all things in my kit, the Strike Eagle 5-25 by 56.
That is awesome.
To put on my ELR gun. And the reason, because I have razors. I do. I've got 2 of them. And, the question was asked, why did you put something that was less superior than your razor on that gun? And the reason why I brought it is, one, I really wanted to see what I could do with it.
Right.
For that $1,000 optic level.
Turns out it was okay.
Yeah, it worked extremely well. But the biggest reason is that thing has a ton of internal mechanical adjustment. It's like I was looking at the specs of all of our scopes across the board, and without the zero stop in that thing, it's got 110 minutes of mechanical elevation. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So in my creativity of my setup for ELR, I think I had 65 MOA worth of base and ring set combined. And that optic, I was 0 to 9 inches high at 100 yards. And that scope was able to run me out all the way out far past 2,000 yards without even putting a Charlie Tarek on it. So with the caliber that I was shooting, it was extremely flat shooting. So that helped as well too. But yeah, that optic got me all the way through day 1 without even worrying about running out of elevation just to hit our targets. So yeah, I was thoroughly impressed and really happy with that. And that was one of the reasons why I went with that thing.
You did okay, I suppose.
Yeah, I did okay. Yeah. And to be honest, Ryan McLean, that was kind of team OG. We met up, we made it happen. We were able to compete together as a team again. Ryan did a phenomenal job as a spotter. I know that, and Rooster, first day there, the conditions were challenging with the mirage and the wind conditions. And yeah, I mean, Ryan,
I still don't know how the hell he picked that up. That cold bore.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there's a switch out there that nobody in the entire province saw. Yeah. And he picks it up. Okay. Hold this and go.
Yeah. And so what's awesome with a little bit of background on that is that that was the furthest that gun had been shot to that point, because I was only able to verify that gun at about 650 yards. So we went cold bore at 1,511 meters, I think,
right. Yeah.
with that impact, which was awesome. Which proved a lot of things. Making sure you've done your homework on your equipment, your load development, you've got good data.
Right.
The Kestrel is bang on, but then it was me and Ryan. We sat there and we were looking through glass all day. We were watching the conditions and studying this, and we went in with a game plan. And Ryan executed it perfectly. When we sat down and we took our time and set up, he's watching the whole time. And it was funny because we went into the shed at Rob's with knowing what the condition was moving in, and we had 2 minutes right on the gun. And during setup, Ryan calls me to go 2 minutes left. And then probably about 60 seconds left, he says, scratch it, put on 1 minute right again. And I'm like, you
Right.
sure? He's like, yeah, do it. So we
Yeah.
did it. And that's what I set that round on. And I like pinwheeled that cold bore. So
That's
I mean,
crazy.
props off to him. It was, that was worth the trip alone. I was like, I wanted to hit the cold bore.
Absolutely.
Nobody had hit it up to that point yet that day. I'm like, I want to hit the cold bore with the new gun. And yeah, it was great. So yeah, that was a fantastic match. So
At least you had some data to go by. I was still when I went out to shoot, I was still reeling from Rouse, you're first.
Yeah, and that's a tough card to pull when you're the first shooter at a match like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you don't have the advantage of time on your hands to sit there for an hour or two and kind of watch what the range is doing. Yeah. You'd better have your stuff squared away and ready to go. And sometimes it can be an advantage, and sometimes it can be a bit of a hindrance, right? But
well, I'll tell you, we learned some things.
Yeah. And I mean, and you and Jens did phenomenally. I mean, you guys rocked it. That was great. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Right on. So would you do it again?
Yeah, absolutely. So
run that setup?
Yeah, I would run that setup again. And because I don't feel I was at a disadvantage, and it worked flawless. Like I wouldn't. Our only I think things we'd need to brush up on are just trying to get more of those hits, right? But I mean, everybody was dealing with the same thing. That first day is just trying to deal with
Calvin.
Man, that guy. That guy, he's a machine, and you know what? He's such a great guy. And he's such a good ambassador for the sport. And he's down to earth, and he'll chat and he'll talk.
Oh,
and
for sure.
He'll give you the pointers, even though you're the guy shooting next up on him. He'll be telling you how to, hey man, watch for this, watch this. But I mean, that guy's, he switched on. He's been doing that game for a while. It's not his first rodeo. So he and his father, they had it figured out. And no, it was good. And
yeah, if you're humble enough to actually sit there and listen to him and absorb, you will learn a lot from that man, for sure.
Oh, totally. And he's one of those guys, when he talks, just shut your mouth and listen. Just
right. Yeah.
Right. Just
that's why we've had him on to 3 iterations of this shirt, both iterations of the show 3 times in total. Is when we just say, hey Cal, talk about shooting. Go.
Yeah, and we're sitting there like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's passionate.
Yeah, totally. And he's good at what he does, and he's great. And it's good hanging with guys like that and the whole crew that's there, right? And it's funny because you talk about Calvin and his experience as he is, and I mean, Kurt, you'll know for our following day on the Saturday, the conditions are completely opposite to what they were for qualifying Friday.
Right.
And Calvin was the first shooter up, and we're listening to him. I'm sure everybody was, and there's rounds going down range, and there's nothing connecting with steel.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, is this where we can make some points on Calvin? And then deep down inside, you go, holy crap, if he didn't hit anything,
if he didn't,
what's going to happen, right? And which was actually the story for every other team that shot the finale that day, right? So,
well, as we've been saying all along, that particular game is won on day one.
Yeah. Yeah, and that event showed it. Day one, almost nothing changed from day one to day two, right?
That's right.
Yeah. But it's awesome.
So, if you could do it again, what would you change about King of Two Mouths?
For myself, for setup or the match?
Anything. Your setup, your preparation, your actual implementation of your plan, your execution. What will you change?
Yeah, you know what? The plan that I had in executing the plan, I think went really good. Looking back at it all, I don't think I had an issue there. It came together last minute because originally, shooting with Ryan McLean, he had moved out to BC to work with MDT at the beginning of the year, and we had talked about doing this match. And at that time, earlier in the year, it wasn't looking like he was going to be able to make that match. So I kind of wrote it off. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be able to make that match. And then things changed like 3 or 4 weeks prior to the match. Also, it's like, hey, I'm going to be able to go. So it's like, okay, crap. Well, let's try and set up to shoot this as a team. So final load development and tweaking kind of started to happen right away. Probably if I would have stayed committed at the beginning of the year, I probably would have had more rounds on the gun, maybe a little bit more confirmed data at distance. Would have probably tried to find some spots in Ontario to reach out past that mile mark. But you know what? I did my due diligence. I did all the homework, collected the data I could with the ranges I had available, and it just proved how good the Kestrel and the AB is, because man, it's confirmed first round hits and some very accurate dope out past a mile for me more than a couple of times. So it just goes to show, do the homework and go. So to be honest, I think other than maybe having the ability of a little bit more time to do a little bit more ELR practice, that might have been the only thing I changed going into it. But definitely I do that match again. So if that's happening next year, I'll expect me to be there.
That seems to have been a thing. Like, I know there were other competitors there who didn't get to practice as much as they wanted to. Like, is that obviously I don't do a lot of ELR. I'm new to ELR, but is that a thing, or is that just this year's thing?
You know what? It could be a combination of a couple things. I mean, let's be honest. Last 18 months with this whole COVID thing has certainly tore up a bunch of things across the country.
Yeah.
One thing that I'll say the Western provinces seem to be afforded is the ability of having additional space. So if you can find a ranch with 2K, 3K to shoot, that's great. Ontario is pretty tough to find that type of stuff to stretch it out, right? You've got to find the right place somewhere, and probably Northern Ontario on a cut line somewhere to try and do that, because you're certainly not going to find it in Southern Ontario. I've got the ability. I can find 500-600 yards pretty easily, 1,000 yards if the crop layout is right. But other than that, I've got to go somewhere else to try and do that type of stuff. So yeah,
I was surprised at the difficulty even in Saskatchewan getting past a kilometer.
Mm-hmm. Where you think there you'd have ample room, right?
Well, there's lots of space. It's just us in the bigger centers. You got to go out a ways to get out.
I suppose
to
that's
that
true.
space.
We're city boys, right?
Whoa, you are.
Whoa, I am a city boy. Okay. Cool.
So Ryan McLean says, big thanks to Ben Click for lending me the gun to allow me to shoot King in 2 miles, he says. And that's just kind of.
Yeah, and that was kind of an awesome thing that had happened.
Absolutely.
Too. Ryan shot that me as a spotter, with a gun that wasn't his. Luckily, Ben was able to provide some really good data, and when we made hits, right? We made hits and made it happen. So, but yeah, it's hats off to Ben, and he's a solid dude too, and
absolutely,
hooked Ryan up with a good kit there. So.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, we had Spudman on the YouTube here ask a question: can the Vortex Razor Red Dot handle the recoil of a 12 gauge?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we get that question quite a bit with what will the optic handle recoil wise, and the optics will handle a fair amount of recoil. I put Crossfire stuff on Magnum recoiling stuff with no issues at all. So.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. Is that just a Razor thing, or is that just a across the line sort of thing?
Yeah, that's across the line thing. And actually, our optics, our entire line of optics, are actually rated for the high powered air rifles as well too. So I know those will shake apart some stuff, but ours have been rated to handle that as well too. So for air rifle stuff.
So what about? Is there any truth in the thought that muzzleloaders really kick the shit out of scopes? And we'll get into muzzleloader stuff here in a bit, but we'll just start with this.
Yeah, they certainly can. When you're looking at muzzleloader black powder stuff or anything using black powder substitutes, it's comparable to 12 gauge recoil with slugs. Some of it can be worse depending on load and projectile weight that you're shooting, but it's very, very similar. Right. So yeah, it's going to handle 12 gauge slug muzzleloader stuff for hunting applications without any issues at all. Yeah.
Sorry, kind of backing up a little bit, I suppose. What is it about air rifles that scopes don't like?
There's with the excuse me, with the high powered rifles, the piston driven stuff, what you find is 2 recoil impulses. One's in the back direction, one's in the forward direction. Obviously, most scopes are designed to handle recoil in one direction in center fire rifle, where you've got an additional impulse on the air rifle. So that generally shatters things apart internally. It'll break some stuff. And I've seen that happen with stuff. Guys will get an air rifle and they find a cheap scope somewhere and they throw it on, and 3 shots later, the thing is loose inside, right? And it's just, they're not designed to handle that. So,
very similar with some of the experiences we've had with the M1As and the M305s and stuff like that, because that heavy bolt and off rod going forward again,
slamming back the other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's tough on scopes.
Yeah.
Right on. So,
since we're talking about
muzzleloaders.
scopes again, well, hang on.
Sorry.
Before you go back,
Okay.
I've been holding on to this question for like
Don't
15
cry.
minutes.
Just
I
get it up.
wanted to go back to the Strike Eagle 5-25 for a second.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's very similar to the Venom 5-25.
Mm-hmm.
They both have the same reticle, right?
That's right. Yeah.
They're both first focal plane.
They're both first focal plane. That's right.
They're both 56 tube, lens. They're both 34 mil tube, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're both 5-25.
That's right.
Now, I know it's 85 MOA elevation on the Venom, 110 on the Strike Eagle. So obviously that's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other differences? And this is a selfish question because I was thinking about getting another 5-25, and now I don't know if I want another Venom or a Strike Eagle. So this is why I'm asking this question. Like, what else is different about them?
So even though you start looking at specs and they look almost identical, obviously there's a price difference there and the item name itself, but the optical system in the Strike Eagle over the Venom is a little bit better. So you can see optical quality and clarity there as well too. Obviously, internal components are built a little bit different because you do have the additional adjustment in the Strike Eagle over the Venom. And I believe the Strike Eagle is illuminated as well.
Oh, it's illuminated. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. Is the
Suddenly
whole
you're
Strike
interested in
Eagle
the
line
Strike Eagle
illuminated?
again.
Yeah, I know, right?
Actually, I believe so, yeah, because your Strike Eagle 1-6, 1-8, and the 5-25 all have an illumination option or configuration on them. So they are all illuminated.
Okay. Well, that begs a follow-up question. And this is something that I've never really been able to completely figure out. With all the names and the different models and the different lines within Vortex, I mean, the Crossfire, Venom, Razor, Strike Eagle, Viper, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, they're put into categories, but what are the defining traits of each of those categories? I've never been able to figure that out.
Yeah, you almost need to have the spreadsheet, and I've got one of them that kind of details the specifications for each one. Essentially, you can look at your Crossfire as your entry level starting area. You go up from the Diamondback. From the Diamondback, you could throw the Venom in there, and then of course the Strike Eagle can be on either side of that because you have the 1-6, 1-8, and then you have the 5-25 on the high end. In between there, you've got a various range of the Viper optics, and then you get into the Razor lines, right? So it kind of, as you go up, you're getting, features, quality, price point is all going up. There are a lot of SKUs in the lineup. Are they going to change that? I don't know. It seems like they have been making some additions over the last couple of years, which in my opinion have been good. Like if you look at a scope like the Strike Eagle, I mean, that 5-25 Strike Eagle is a hell of a scope for money, to be honest. When you start looking at it,
because it's not that much more expensive than a Venom.
That's right. And then, above that, then you've got a PST for a couple $100 more. And then if you want to jump into the Razor line, then you start getting more expensive. But it's fitting a price point where it can get into. And then, of course, something like the Venom that came out, that's a phenomenal scope for rimfire PRS because I believe it fits the threshold for production, if I recall. So
that's exactly why I got this. It goes on my Gray Birch 1022.
So they've done a good job looking at where the industry is, the different disciplines, and listening to what maybe some of the shooters have got to say. So
it's probably those technical field advisors doing all that work, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
The engineers come up with the names, and you guys have to justify them.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
So, muzzleloader stuff. Sean tells me that you're doing some. We talked about this a little bit the other show that you were on, but
Yeah, we did. We teased it at the end, right?
Yeah. So what the hell are you doing with that? Full crap.
It's funny because I don't know if I'm bored or if I'm just sick in the head. Maybe it's a combination of everything. But obviously, the last couple of years, last year, working quite a bit on the 50 caliber smokeless setup, which had some really good success with that. And it's probably one of those things that takes interest to me because our controlled deer hunt in this area, we have to use muzzle loaders. So it's kind of one of those things, trying to find something better to do the job than what's offered out there. I just keep taking it to the next step. So last winter, late fall, I started on working on a 45 caliber smokeless saddleless configuration, which brings the performance up to something that's just incredibly insane. I never would have expected to see that kind of performance out of a muzzle loader, but at the end of the day, if you get rid of the plastic sabot, which if you're really in tune with hand loading and center fire rifles, it's just another combination of something that could go wrong. So you get rid of that. You have a bullet to bore that you're using 45 caliber stuff, and good barrels, and of course smokeless powder in the right recipe and setup is super efficient and clean. So no longer this cleaning a muzzleloader every shot or every 2 shots. So the things perform just like center fire rifles, which have been amazing. So yeah, the new setup and combination I have verified my personal one out to 1,088 yards accurately. So
1,088, not 1,800.
1,088.
I have video proof.
Yeah.
Are you using those old wooden cross sticks and kind of laying back like this too when you're doing it? Man, you'd have my respect.
Yeah, not so much. But yeah, you know what? The modern advancements in the machining capabilities of stuff, barrels, projectiles, stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing. Like I said, the stuff has surpassed my expectations. So I have a few of them out in the wild that I've built, and they've all been performing the same. So yeah, it's just one of those cool projects that I've been working on, in my spare time on the weekends and stuff like that, when I have just to tinker in the machine shop and I guess satisfy that part of my brain that likes that type of stuff. So yeah.
So here's a question then: if muzzle loaders are coming along, so like they've come so far, why are we still giving muzzle loading preferential treatment in hunting?
Oh, here we go.
You know what? Good question. It's probably because it like a lot of stuff, it hasn't kept up with the times, right?
Right.
You just have center fire privilege.
Yeah.
Well, center fire privilege my ass, because I've never hunted without snow on the ground because I only do center fire. Like this is like what you're saying here now makes me want to pick up a muzzle loader just so I can hunt before there's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
It's and here's the thing. It's like
Jason says, shh.
Right. Yeah. You can lump this in just like with the center fire stuff, right? So I mean, you've got how many hundreds of thousands of millions guys out there with center fire rifles in their hands, and most of them are going to be lucky to take a shot at 100 yards, and if they do, they're lucky to hit 5 plate, right? So it comes down to who's proficient with what type of equipment. We all know you can take a stock firearm in somebody's hands and they might struggle to hit a 200-yard target, and you can put it in someone who's skilled and they're going to be able to shoot that same firearm at multiple times the distances, right? Obviously with the muzzleloader stuff, building stuff that's better, more efficient, more consistent and accurate, that's just one part of the puzzle. You put it into the standard guy's hands. If he doesn't know how to use the whole package, then it's still going to be 100 or 200 yard gun for him. But you put it in. A miss is still a miss. A miss is still a miss, right? But you put something that has some capability behind it in the right person's hands, who's trained and has experience, then you can soon see what it's capable of. And just like Savage Axis in 223 in the right guy's hands, he can make 500-600 yard shots with that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Well, I'm intrigued now, and I think I'm going to knock on wood before I say this, because I've only ever had to take one shot on every animal that I've tried to go for so far. So maybe I need to look into muzzle loading.
There you go. There you go. Might be a new thing. You never know.
It might be a new thing.
Right. So, and
not only that, but now that I've mentioned it, multiple people in the chat are pissed off at me and telling me to shush. Apparently, I just let some big cat out of the bag or something.
Damn it, Chris.
Yeah, this is what happens when you put me with a microphone in front of my face.
But, it's one of those things like it's you get the right guy. As all of us here, you get our brains working with ideas to what to do next with what we have done and what can we do to do similar things with something else. And I guess it's just one of those things. The stuff you come up with, something cool, right? So,
are you running an optic on your muzzleloader? I'm assuming if you're shooting out to a kilometer.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm running the recently new Razor LHT, the 4.5 to 22 first focal plane that came out earlier in the year.
Okay.
With a phenomenal hunting scope. So phenomenal hunting scope.
Really?
Yeah, I like my first focal plane stuff. So a lot of my hunting stuff all wears.
Even for hunting, you like it? First focal.
Even for hunting, I like it. Yeah, because you know what? If I'm shooting close range and I'm on low power, that reticle small, I'm not using hash marks for holdovers or corrections or anything like that. I've got my aiming point still. I know where it is. And when you get out to those couple 100-yard shots that you want to make, and you can start to use the reticle or turrets and whatever you want as you get that magnification up. So I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it.
Absolutely.
Next year, you might see me with a muzzle loader, guys.
I know a guy.
You know a guy? Do you? Do you really?
I dare you to do PRS with a muzzleloader.
Make every shot. Give me 10 minutes, but I'll make every shot down.
Yeah.
That'll be the new things for the
Civil War reenactors to come out.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone.
The would-be purists, their first step into the modern world.
But
PRS
it's difficult though, because
muzzleloader.
then you got to change your terminology. Like instead of saying "send it," you got to yell "tally ho." It's a whole thing. It's very difficult. It's more than just the gun, is what I'm saying.
I wonder what the new uniforms or costumes would look like then too. They got to change that up. Right?
How do you see through your scope with that giant hat?
Step it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, Scotty, absolutely. Soon we'll all be doing PRS with muzzleloaders. Hashtag liberals. Yeah. Well played, sir.
Mr. Oracle should not have told us that one. That's not a good
way to bring the energy
prediction.
down, Scotty.
Yeah, pause here for some depression.
Yeah.
All right, getting back to optics.
Yeah.
Scotty also had an earlier question. How is the new Vortex Fury with applied ballistics binos? Any reviews? And does it replace the Kestrel? And have you had any feedback?
I think with that, that's an awesome question, and we've been getting some of that as well too. I think when it comes to gear, any gear, and it doesn't matter. Certainly, some of it's going to be based on the user's knowledge and what they're able to do. I've heard with Furies specifically, I've had conversations with guys like, well, I don't know if they're accurate. It doesn't seem like it's lining up with the AB and stuff like that. But it's like, okay, well, did you read the manual? Because that's the first thing I tell everybody, because the manual is like 40 pages. Like, read it, understand it. I had to go through it like 3 times, right?
Step
you
one,
plug
pull
it
the
in?
little plastic divider out of the battery housing.
Right, yeah. But with that being said, you get looking at that, and it's actually a pretty advanced piece of kit. So it can be a little daunting at first when you look at it going, holy cow, like it's got a couple buttons and I'm supposed to do all this. Once you get using it, you get familiar with it. My personal experience with it, and because it does have the AB, and my experience with it, AB has been phenomenally accurate as long as you give it the correct inputs and good data. You got to get everything. Doesn't matter whether it's your Kestrel or the AB. You've got to give it good data. If you don't, it's going to be skewed. So
shit in, shit out, right?
Exactly, right. And we've talked about that. And the further out you shoot, the more apparent that is, right? Like you might have some grace up to 500 yards. Well, double that distance, you don't have that safety net anymore, right? All of a sudden, that little error turns into a big thing. So the big thing is data. A lot of guys seem to miss like truing up your data. Like, so we know, especially with EOR, just because you've given it all this accurate data, doesn't mean you technically can trust it all the way out. Like, there is truing involved because ballistics change. You know, we know ballistics change from gun to gun. So we know the manufacturer gives you a ballistics coefficient. How correct that is, we know or don't know. You've got all those other parameters. So, you know, truing your data, spending some time with it, making sure that's all lining up. The AB, the Fury has all those parameters you can play with in the app. So it's extremely advanced, just like the Kestrel. My personal experience with the Furies have been awesome. They've done everything I've asked them to. I've taken some time with them to set up the profiles. I've trued them. They pair with the Kestrel, which is phenomenal. You can use it without the Kestrel, which I did hunting our controlled hunt last week. I've got the profiles. It pairs with the Kestrel. It pairs with the Kestrel. So you could technically, you as a spotter could be in the spotter holding the Kestrel, and someone else could be lasing, and you have them linked. It will beam that distance with the dope to the Kestrel. Not only that, the Fury Bino will feed it back in the display as well too. So it's a pretty awesome setup, because you pair that laser rangefinder with a Kestrel that's already dialed. I mean, that's an insane pack,
no kidding,
right? Or if you've got the AB itself already trued up with the internal profile without even using the Kestrel, and you know that thing's dialed out to X amount of distance, that's just as accurate, right? So it's crazy. So yeah, it's
I think
good.
I think Kevin wants to be a product tester here. First of all, wasn't it him asking about the Gen 3 first? And now he says they take impact. I'm assuming he's talking about the Fury.
Yeah, so actually,
just because you huck it down on the concrete doesn't mean you'll get a new one, you know. But
yeah, that was Jamie asking about the Gen 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Kevin witnessed me accidentally dropping mine on a rock, and it went clank, and it bent some parts, and they're still in that configuration. They still work. So they'll take some abuse, non-intentional. So luckily my warranty guys are really good in-house, so they'll take care of those for me when I get a chance. But
small
Ian work. Yeah, I know a guy.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because Ken, I know I spoke to you a little bit off air about it, but there's been some chatter on the internet about, you know, Vortex, the best warranty you will always use. Can you expand that a little bit? Why does Vortex have the warranty that it does? And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, it's our warranty program, I think, is known industry wide, and I call it a warranty program, but I also call it a customer service program. Okay, when you look at it, because we stand by the product 100% no matter what. And even if that means it's user error, I dropped my binos on a rock, or somebody didn't torque the rings correctly and crushed a tube, or it might be just something that we don't know why there's an issue with it. The customer is experiencing something and they're unhappy with it, or there is an issue with it. We look after it. Okay, so it's a warranty. It's a warranty program that is going to cover everything no matter what, as long as we can designate it and understand it to be a Vortex product, it's covered. Like, we've got stuff that's been smashed in pieces, it's been burnt in house fires, it's covered, right? So the only thing it doesn't cover is theft and loss, right? So if we know
guys have covered optics that have been in house fires.
Yeah. If you can recover it and say, yeah, this was a Vortex scope, bino, rangefinder, whatever it is, Yeah, you're getting a new one. You just send us all the broken pieces, all the burnt pieces, whatever it happens to be. As long as you send us a Vortex product back, we will be sending you.
I assume as long as it's identifiable.
It's yeah.
If I send you a melted piece of glass and metal, it's probably not going to be as.
That one's going to be
ask a few questions. Yeah.
We'll be going a little bit further in that.
No, I swear this was a Razor HD.
Yeah, it's and you know we hear all the time. It's like, well, the best warranty is the one you don't use, and there is some truth to that. But also, wouldn't you like to have a product that has, you know, a product and a company that has your back no matter what, right? And let's be honest, there's umpteen different scenarios that can happen on the field, on the range, and anywhere. And you hate for anything ever to go wrong with your components when you actually need them to work. But that does happen because, let's be honest, these things are put together by human beings in factory, and it doesn't just not happen in the optics industry, but it happens everywhere in every industry, right? Things can break, things can go wrong, you know, just from factory, but things go wrong in the field. We see it all the time. You trip and fall and you drop a rifle, or it comes into the back of a pickup truck. You ran it over by accident. I mean, it happens, but it's covered no matter what for us. And we take pride in looking after the customers to make sure, you know, they're happy, because at the end of the day, that's goal number one for us. It's really a customer service thing. So we want to make sure at the end of the day that everybody's looked after no matter what. If they have an issue, we want to get it sorted out.
So even if it's not and I work in warranty for a living, and what I define warranty is a defect in material or workmanship. And anything outside of that, I'm pretty stringent on. I don't cover. Whereas you guys are no questions asked. Like, let's go.
But I mean, look at how Ken, as an employee of Vortex, is even referring to it. Like, he doesn't even really refer to it as a warranty program.
No,
he's referring
it's
to it as
customer
a customer service program.
Yeah. And I mean, it's you know, so going back to what you said, Sean, about, you know, it's you know, a defect, you know, from manufacturing, whatever happened to be, and yeah, there's some of it which is certainly covered. The thing you got to be careful of is, you know, intentional abuse of a product, right? I mean, if you're gonna take a hammer and start smashing on stuff, you know, we might question that a little bit. But at the end of the day, you know, what was the reason you took a hammer to it? And let's make sure it's right and it doesn't happen again. We want to make sure that you're happy with it, right?
Yeah.
So
why did you drop it off the CN tower?
Well, and Spud says here, so if someone overtorques the rings and damages the scope, it's covered. That exact thing, that I didn't overtorque the rings. I traded for a scope that came with a crush tube, and I called Daryl at warranty and I said, "Hey, Daryl, can you cover this?" And like, I feel bad for asking it, but yeah, just send it in. Here's the form. Yep. Send it in. They sent a brand new one to me. Easy peasy.
And to be honest, we see that specific thing more times than not. We see scopes with crushed tubes all the time. It's unfortunate, but you know, it comes down to someone had a bad torque wrench, or they didn't use a torque wrench, and buddy got a little zesty with the screwdriver after 4 beers in, and yeah, that can happen, right? But it's covered, right? But we do see it. We do see crushed tubes. I mean, that can happen with impacts and different things as well too. But we do cover that. And
I know the first thing I usually want to do after I'm a couple of sheets to the wind is start working on my guns.
Everyone's got their hobby.
I can barely walk straight. Time to put a scope on. Another story is exactly why I'm holding this one, because this is new to me. Like, I haven't even taken the plastic thing off of here yet. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with my Venom. There was no manufacturer's defect or anything like that. The wind picked up my rifle. It was sitting on my mat and dumped it onto the concrete from about 3 feet in the air, and you know, it screwed up the scope that way. It was entirely, it's what most warranties would consider an act of God.
That's right.
And most warranties won't cover that.
Yeah.
And there was no questions asked. In fact, I've had 2 warranty claims with firearms related things in the last year. And one of them happened in May, beginning of May. The other one happened in August, at the end of August. The Venom scope was the end of August, and it was literally a couple of weeks, got the scope back, and it's been sitting actually for over 2 weeks up on my kitchen table because I haven't been home. 3 weeks it's been sitting there. so it came very, very quickly.
Uh-huh.
The other one, warranty claim, which was 100% not my fault, it was identified as not my fault, I still haven't got the replacement for it. And that happened in May. It happened several months before. So, I mean, like as somebody who's going through two processes, one of them with Vortex, it is a very remarkable difference how easy Vortex has been to deal with.
And that's what we want at the end of the day, because you know what? Let's be honest. Like, yeah, it wasn't your fault that the wind picked up your shooting mat and flipped over your rifle and smashed it, right? And that sucks because you probably wanted to finish the day shooting and you want to continue to shoot. And is it our fault? No. Was it your fault? No. But at the end of the day, we're going to take care of it. We're going to make sure you got a brand new product in hand that's going to function, and most importantly, you're happy and you're going to continue to use the product at the end of the day.
Well, and there's no question that I don't want to say buys loyalty, but it garners loyalty. It breeds loyalty in your customer. Because I'll be honest with you, the last couple of years, I haven't bought any product other than Vortex products. And the main reason is that A, I like them, B, they're price good, and I've always heard about their warranty.
Yeah.
And now that I've experienced it myself, it's just locked it in, like I'm not really interested in a lot of other optics anymore.
Well, and the other thing is too, like taking the experience you had with, your replacement,
Yeah.
You don't say.
Oh, okay.
Well,
go on.
I was just gonna
technical difficulties there. Sorry.
He's gone again.
Now he's just fucking with us. Yeah.
I'll get my camera sorted out, guys. I apologize.
It's all right.
Stand by.
This still isn't as many technical difficulties as we had on Thursday.
With Ryan, yeah.
Oh,
poor guy. Anyway.
I was just gonna say,
there we go.
We started asking Chris about the market share that Vortex has enjoyed because of this customer service, and that I imagine has contributed a lot to that.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be, because it's exactly what you said, where you were talking about the market share of Vortex, and I don't know what it is. I don't even know if that sort of stuff is even.
It's hard to quantify, I'm sure.
But I mean, it seems pretty obvious. I mean, Vortex is quite literally everywhere, and that's exactly what you just mentioned. That's a major reason why.
Yeah. And to go back to your point about the warranty thing, Chris, and you saying like, okay, you're dealing with right now a warranty issue on a product from May. So how good does that make you feel, and how much do you really want to reinvest in that person's product again? If you've got to fight tooth and nail for, 6, 7, 8 months for something that wasn't your fault, right? I mean, that's not.
And the reality is I had that product 100% to do a YouTube review on. You can only guess how the YouTube review is going to go now, right? Whereas, I do a YouTube review with the Venom, and all I'm saying is, like, I had to get warranty on it. It was easy breezy. Buy a Venom, buy a Vortex, right? Not to entirely sound like a Vortex fanboy, because I know that I'm going to get accused of that, but maybe I'll just wear that. I'll wear that loud and proud.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a Vortex fanboy. Look at me.
Yeah, says the guy who's got the hat in the background.
Vortex koozie and Vortex vape.
Yeah, we had a question here. I think Kurt or Sean, it was Scott's question. I think.
Right.
I don't know where it is.
Just a second here. There it
was, a little further up, wasn't it?
This one here.
Yeah, there you go.
So Scott's asking, does Vortex have plans to get rangefinders to link with the Kestrel as well? I think he's talking about standalone rangefinders, not the Furies, but
he says he's got a 4,000 rangefinder.
Yeah, so the 4,000 is the premier rangefinder that we have on our product line. That's a standalone rangefinder. I don't know specifically their plans to know if they're going to have the rangefinders linked with Kestrel, like you mentioned, the SIG BDXs. SIG's been doing their homework in the electro-optics field as well there for a while, right? So they've got some cool stuff they've been bringing to the market, and it's crazy to see what has happened in the last 5 years just with electro optics and binos and rangefinders and kestrels and all this stuff linking. Like what's going to happen in the next 5 years is probably going to blow our minds. I don't know what's on their plate in their R&D department, what they're doing. All I know is every year they're coming out with something that's more awesome than the next. So I can only imagine it's a matter of time before those features are going to be in a lot more products. I just don't know if that's a fact and when. So
I think so. Like that is that technology is such a race now between the different manufacturers, and if you're not innovating, you're getting left behind.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And you know, it's a competition. Competition in the industry is great. That's what creates new things. That's what makes every product better than the next, because you know you've constantly got to be upping the game. You've got to be doing it better. You've got to be looking for the new thing. And sometimes, you know, it's just if there's not something out there and there's a need to do it, then invent it, right?
Yep. Somebody will buy it.
That's right.
We hope.
And if it's cool enough, maybe the military will get on board with it, right? So I mean, look at some of the stuff that's been happening in the mill and LE world with stuff. I mean, these guys are driving some of the development for a lot of these manufacturers, not just optics manufacturers, but firearms companies and cartridges that are being developed, right? Look at the 6ARC. You know, it was born out of necessity for some of the special operations group, right? Where we want firepower and less weight kind of thing, right? So
I imagine that's just the white whale for a firearms manufacturer is to get military attention, or U.S. military attention, especially, right?
Oh yes, yep.
That begs the question: has Vortex ever done anything with I don't know. I just don't know. It might be ignorant, but has Vortex ever gone after any military contracts?
Yeah, they have in the U.S. I don't know all the ins and outs, but a few of the products have gone through the mill testing standards, and there are some groups that are using them, LE groups as well. So yeah, it's certainly in the U.S. and in Canada as well. So.
Okay, yeah, all right. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at Spud. Every time we have somebody involved with optics, he wants a bubble level not built into the scope housing. He wants a bubble level built into the reticle.
Okay.
I guess that's there you go. There's something... your answer, Spud.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll run that one up the chain. Maybe on the list. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The next time there's a convention, don't feel like you have to get laughed out of the room by bringing that up. Just so you know.
That's funny. Yeah, I've been getting these really strange requests.
Hey, you know what? If you start getting a bunch of them, it better be something you look at. So because that means
that's true,
for it, right? So
that's all Spudman needs to do. He just needs to start a letter writing campaign.
That's right. Oh, too funny.
Awesome.
They look at a Revic. They have a HUD above the reticle. I don't know anything about Revics.
No.
Not familiar with that one myself.
Yeah. Not me neither. I'll look it up though.
Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say, what lies ahead for Vortex? I know we've talked about products, but is there any moves you guys are looking to make, or any big market announcements or anything coming up? Or
I mean, it's good question. I think a lot of the stuff, like I said, I haven't been privy to information on what the U.S. team is working on. Like they keep their cards pretty close to their chest. So I'm sure, I mean, their team of people are constantly working and innovating and doing new things. So I can't say on that. For Vortex Canada, for us, I mean, you know, things have been busy. They've been great. The products have been, you know, obviously selling well, and market keeps growing. 2022 is just another year, hopefully as good as this one, and we're just going to continue to try and expand and reach out and keep doing what we're doing, right? We're working on lots of different things and hoping to make 2022 a good one for us in regards to sponsorship programs and different stuff. So get some good people on board and continuing to wave the flag and promote the brand.
Yeah, that flag waving thing, you guys do, I think, a pretty exceptional job of that. You're involved in a lot of support for a lot of shoots out there. It's pretty prevalent, I think.
Yeah,
There's already been 2 or 3 people that have been thanking you. Yeah, Ryan right there.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other people thanking you for thanking Vortex for sponsorships.
Yeah, which is great. We appreciate all the love for that, and yeah, we've really focused on supporting the industry because I think it's important to do. You've got to put some support there with the people that are supporting you, and with the events that have been going on, some of it has been lack thereof over the last little while, but the events that have been happening, we're more than happy to promote the multiple different disciplines, whether it's pistol shooting or rimfire or centerfire or ELR or whatever it happens to be. I mean, we try to be involved with it all, support the industry. Those people usually support us back, and seeing the comments with the guys thanking us for that is fantastic. It goes a long way, to be honest. And I've had this discussion with people before as well too, with all these matches going on in Canada. The rimfire stuff, the PRS stuff.
PRS is coming along, yeah.
Oh yeah, huge. But I mean, as competitors, like, thank the series sponsors, thank the match sponsors, like, write the emails, pick up the phone, call a guy. You wouldn't believe how far that goes into helping us decide where we're going to spend the budget next year. Where a lot of it is return on investment. We spent X amount here. Well, do we feel we got something of that? And that's just business, right? That's just business.
Of course.
But
yeah.
I mean, I can't stress enough how important those emails and phone calls and the messaging to sponsorship companies go, because that reiterates the fact that, hey, we're doing a good thing. People are appreciating it, and we're trying to grow what we can, right? At the end of the day, it helps us all. We can grow the industry, and that means there's more stuff for the shooters and competitors to do, and we're happy to be part of that all.
Nice. Good.
Right on. You guys have any more questions or anything on Vortex? Or
just trying to think. We've been through quite a bit in this.
We went through a lot.
We've powered through. We've covered a lot.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Right on. So are you still part of Team KDEX then as well?
Yes. Still on board as pro staff with the KDEX crew. Those guys have been fantastic, and can't say enough about them and their products. So, Patrice and Jamie and all them guys, they're solid dudes over there. And they're another one of those companies that have been promoting the sport and helping everything grow along, right? So.
Kevin wants to talk about muzzleloaders more.
Back to muzzleloaders.
That's a popular topic.
Yeah. So, how slow do you want to shoot, Ken?
How did your F-class season go?
Pretty quiet. Yeah. There wasn't, unfortunately, nothing happening in Ontario for F-class. Unfortunately, our primary training grounds was a Connaught range in Ottawa, and because it is a DND range, no go for civvies. So last year and this year, nothing's happened. I believe the guys in Saskatchewan ran an event this year. I think they had did they hold a provincial or something?
They had, they had several dates. I know that for sure, but what exactly they were, I just can't recall.
Yeah, so it's been that some of the disciplines. It's just not been F class. It's been a bunch of disciplines that have taken a hit with the closures. Like, so Ontario's a little tricky because a lot of the stuff that we've been able to do here, we've had to rely on the military D&D ranges to operate them. So, the Meaford Long Range Steel Challenge got canceled again for the second year in a row, which was unfortunate. Yeah. But, I mean, you can't, we just don't have the area to run a match like that in Ontario. We just can't do it. So, unfortunately, until things open back up and they allow some of the civvy clubs back on the bases, it's going to be, certainly, I mean, 2021 is is almost come and gone as far as the shooting season's gone, so I can't see much happening there. But fingers crossed for next year, things start to open up. It'd be great to get back to the ranges, shoot some F class, shoot some more PRS stuff with center fire. I mean, my center fire stuff's been pretty quiet this year. Like I think the King of 2 Mile match was my only real center fire match I shot this year. Everything else has been rim fire that I've been doing. So, it's just been burning 22 LR up, doing some PRS rimfire matches and practicing and plinking and
What
stuff
are you
like
running
that.
for rimfire?
I've got a Voodoo Gunworks in a KX chassis that I've been running with a Razor 4.5 to 27 on it. That's
It's just an entry level rig.
Yeah, just entry level. Nothing, just nothing major.
Nothing spectacular.
It's we've talked about that in our previous podcast about your training platform and trying to have it replicate your match rifle, and that's essentially what I did with my rimfire. Is my rimfire gun replicates my centerfire gun. It goes pew instead of bang. At the end of the day, big gun needs some recoil management behind it. But the 22 is exactly that. So to be honest, when all of the rimfire shooting that I've been doing, when I do get a chance to lay down behind the centerfire gun, it's the muscle memory is all there. It's all the same. So it's okay. This is just a little different recoil noise. So
and Yen's comment in 3, 2.
Yeah, exactly.
1.
I'm waiting for the private and captain rimfire comments.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, can I want you to feel free to reserve comment on this if you don't want to talk about it, or even if it's not a thing, because it's got nothing to do with Vortex Optics.
Yeah.
It's just something that I've wanted to talk about on the air for the last week or so. And, I'm taking the opportunity. Is anybody aware of what's going on with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial?
In Canada here?
Well, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Kenosha.
In Kenosha, what's going on? Me personally, I've seen a little bit of stuff with it, just based on what I've seen online, and obviously you got to be careful with what you see. To be honest, I've heard very, very little about it. To be honest, very little. Okay. So, from a little bit that I've seen there, it sounds like he's done good for himself, like defending himself, and everything seems to be going in his favor. It looks like that the people trying to make him look like a bad guy are certainly getting egg on their face, which is I take pleasure in that for sure.
Yeah.
But it seems like that nobody's saying too much of that north of the border here. Probably trying to keep that stuff quiet would be my assumption.
Yeah, I would imagine that's probably, well, as far as news media especially, but it's if you guys end up watching it or watching highlights of it or even seeing other analysis of it or whatever, it's a very interesting case, because in Canada we look at the United States as well, they have self-defense. We don't have self-defense, but they have self-defense. They can defend themselves. And for me, I think it's been really illustrative of how that's changed even in the United States. And he's obviously claiming self-defense. If you watch a lot of the videos that were available, it seems pretty cut and dry that it was self-defense. And it even in the trial, even more of it's coming out. Like it's confirmed that these guys were trying to hurt him. Like the judge actually ruled that they were not allowed to be referred to as victims in court. However, they were allowed to be referred to as looters and rioters in court. And you're right, the judge has chewed out the prosecution multiple times, not only for just ridiculous questions and antics, but potentially like a lot of people are expecting there's going to be a bar review for some of these prosecutors when this is all said and done, because they're doing things that they know is against process, just trying to sway the jury, and gotten chewed out for it a number of times. But it's a cut and dry self-defense case that in today's day and age is 100% not cut and dry, and they're trying to make an example out of it, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. They wanted to make an example out of them, and which it's obvious if you just step back and look at the whole thing. That's what they're trying to do. But it seems they've picked the wrong person to make that example of them, because, like you said, that any normal person watching everything and just, you've got all the evidence and you've got everything adding up prior and after and during. It's you don't have to be a genius to figure it's like, he probably, it was justified at some point. So,
and they've even fucked up so bad that the prosecutor was examining one of their own witnesses, and they were trying to what's his name? Rosenbaum, I think, was one of the guys that was killed. The first guy that was shot and that died. The guy that was like a convicted criminal. And they're trying to paint the picture that he died and we don't know what his thinking was moments before he was shot. And we can't know that there was malice in his heart and that he would have done harm to Rittenhouse. And
there are no indicators there whatsoever.
I know, right? And so he asked this guy a question. He says, so there's no way that you as a bystander know what Rosenbaum was thinking or what his intentions were. And the guy responds and he says, well, he grabbed the barrel of Rittenhouse's gun and he was yelling, fucking die, fucking die.
Yeah.
And then you can just see the prosecutors like, oh, fuck. Well, there goes that option. Just craziness. But it seems like the only, and I'll let us move on after this, but it seems like the only real question left in this is whether they can make the unlawful possession of a firearm stick. And the reason that that's important is if in Wisconsin law, you cannot claim self-defense if you are in the commission of a crime, which, I mean, most places are like that. Canada's like that, right? I mean, if you're breaking into somebody's house unlawfully and there's a struggle ensues and you end up hurting or killing the homeowner, you can't claim self-defense. Well, the homeowner attacked me. Well, that's only because you were created.
You were there in the scenario to do that.
Right.
Exactly. So if they are able to make that unlawful firearms charge stick and convict him on that, it may actually erase all of his self-defense claim in everything else, which is a little bit scary. But I also don't know if what the odds are that they're going to be able to make that stick even.
It seems they've been making plenty of mistakes right now. So hopefully it's, that whole situation was bad. I mean, that was just, that it's, for Kyle to have to deal with that, hey, he made choices and he did what he did, but the whole situation was bad. And it's an unfortunate circumstance that now here we are months later and we're talking about it still. Right? So,
well, and for him, 17 years old, and I got to be perfectly honest with you. I can completely understand the desire to go out there and try to help people, and unlike the guy who got shot in the bicep, who claimed he was out there to give first aid to people, but, got shot in the bicep while pointing a Glock at Rittenhouse's face. Rittenhouse, by all accounts, everything leading up to that incident, he was actually out there trying to help people. He was running around. He's on video running around, trying to put fires out. There is video of him putting out a literal dumpster fire that the first guy that was killed is pushing towards a gas station pump.
Right. Yeah.
And he runs up and puts it out, puts the fire out. Yeah. Everyone's like, well, he should have never been there in the first place. Well, at what point is it a citizen's responsibility to protect their community? Yeah. It's an interesting question.
Yeah. What about everybody else that was there that I guess they should have been there?
Well, you got to believe that his reasons for being there were a hell of a lot more altruistic than all the rioters and looters, right?
Yeah.
Well, like I say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah. Fuck around and find out.
I was just going to say that. Fuck around and find out. Well, that two guys found out the hard way.
Grosskreutz, every time he tries to do an arm curl, we'll be reminded of when he fucked around and found out.
Yeah, that's right. How do you like that beer now?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'll let us move on from
Yeah.
that. But Spudman, I don't know anything about this because I haven't
heard
heard
about
any
it.
media coverage.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I know a little bit about that. Because
Just before you explain, just
Yeah.
for audio listeners, Spudman's asking about the 70-year-old gunsmith killed by Toronto police. So go ahead.
Yeah, so that gentleman was a well-known gunsmith in the area, and the details I have not seen what were released from that, other than it was Toronto City Police Service that had a warrant that went in, and something happened, and the 70-year-old gunsmith got shot 4 times, from what I understand.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the what I had read was that they raided the home with it, like, because he was out in his garage.
Mhm.
This wasn't at work. This was at home.
It was at home while working with a customer.
Oh,
He had a customer there, right?
Oh, really?
They took down his wife, for God's sake, and entered the garage and pounded 4 rounds into him because he was working on a gun on the counter. And
so he had he was in possession of a gun. Okay.
Right. And they hammered him.
Still, they have to know whose house they're going to.
Yeah, you would think. Now, why the search warrant and all that happened in the first place? I mean, there's so many details we don't know, and what they'll try and sweep under the rug. Who knows? That's I mean, that's unfortunate because he was he was someone who was well respected and had done a lot of stuff in the industry and been obviously around for a long time and had a very unique skill set. He was very good at it, and it was unfortunate to say the least. And who knows if we'll know exactly why that happened, but it's a little scary to think.
We won't know the whole story, but it's don't you think it's a little bit odd that we're not hearing for calls for defunding the police when a gun guy gets shot, like an honest, law-abiding gun guy? Interesting. Food for thought for the end of the show.
Again, it's a shit sandwich through and through, and I just feel for his family, and even the customer that was there to had to view that shit. That's life changing.
So they shot him, but they didn't shoot the customer.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously he was like the one standing in front of the gun. I would assume.
Well,
I guess
you're a gunsmith working on a gun, and you're probably like got a gun in your hand, and all of a sudden someone slams on the door and go, "Hey, what's going on?"
Pointing a bunch of AR-15s in your face,
right?
That they can have and we can't.
Yeah, somebody's got an itchy trigger finger. They're just gonna send rounds, right? And I mean, you know what? Once again, I mean, I don't knock on the cops. I mean, we can sit here after the fact and we have all the time in the world to dissect that situation, what happened, and they had to react in a moment. Unfortunately, whatever led up to those moments was an unfortunate set of events.
There's got to be something else that we just haven't seen yet.
But truly, truly sad. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right.
Well, way to end the show.
Well, now that we've brought everybody down.
Again.
Well, you know what? At least it was us this time and not Scott.
Yeah, not Scott.
It's our show, damn it.
Yeah. Is anybody going hunting for centerfire?
Going Monday.
Are you?
Me and Johnny. Yeah.
And a boy.
Yep.
We'll see.
Gonna take
Kurt, are you making it out? We're not going back to muzzleloaders, Kevin. What is that you got there? Because I can't see a damn thing.
I know. Here, let me see if I can. Oh God, there we go.
It's like you
it's the Invisigun.
Yeah.
There.
The deer won't even see it coming.
Unmade bed. Winchester Model 70 and 308. Post 64. With the Vortex Diamondback 4-12x40 on Vortex. Not the precision max rings, but the premier rings. The
premier rings.
Yeah.
So you would think that thing was painted with the razor color.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the
those
whole
deer don't
thermal
stand
thing.
a chance. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Right.
You get points for going old school, Sean, but I don't know. I think I got you beat for cool hunting rifle. And I'm going to show it because
cool is subjective.
Let's see what kills something this year.
Look at that, huh?
Oh, that's black. You'll be spotted in a second.
Especially if the deer's liberal.
It's silver too.
Right.
There's silver on it.
Well, he's got a black gun. You're not allowed to shoot me with that.
Yeah. He's gonna call the COs on me.
Oh, fuck. Yeah,
Well,
so I'm going Monday, Tuesday. So
And
I'm
and
not
when is
too
when is hunting season in is Ontario there, Ken, for
zone.
centerfire?
It depends on your area. So it's the centerfire rifle seasons are a little bit further north than us. Unfortunately, we don't have anything for centerfire season in our area for deer. Mind you, I can hunt centerfire for coyotes all year round. So, but we do have a caliber restriction in Southern Ontario here, so it's 270 or under. Yeah. So hey, my 6.5 match gun works just.
But you can shoot a coyote with a 270.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, can't shoot a deer though. So
really?
yeah.
Okay.
Wait. You can't shoot a deer with a 270?
Not in Southern Ontario. There's no center fire hunting season in Southern Ontario for deer. So hence why we are restricted to using muzzleloader and or shotguns depending on the area that you're in.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that interesting?
Why don't you use a pistol? Christ, it seems like everybody in Toronto's got one of them.
Yeah, I'll let you explain that one to the CO.
Yeah.
Borrow a pistol from some rapper in the GTA.
Trying to keep up with the Jones here.
So Jens is chirping me about having an aluminum chassis. First of all, Jens, I don't know about you, but when I'm outside in the winter, I wear gloves. I don't know about you. Just dress for the cold.
Yeah,
you should have seen
Jens is chirping all of Ontario because Ontario sucks.
I wouldn't say all of. There's portions of it that I would have to agree with.
The Ontario that makes the news all the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
You should have seen Jens at the sniper series rimfire shoot at range. He was just like, I'm German. Fuck you, cold. I'm just gonna wear a windbreaker.
Yeah. And stand here in the middle of
That's
a field.
right. Yeah.
Was he shivering?
All right.
Though?
That's fantastic.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't show emotion. He's like the steak from Top Gear. Anyway. Guys, if you haven't already, please check out the show. If you're watching on Facebook right now, thank you. Leave a review, leave a like. It helps the show get noticed. Notice me, right? So if you like the content, please leave a like on the page. Share the show around if you guys love it, and spread the wealth. You can also email questions to us as well, whether you need long-range shooting advice, mental toughness, self-defense coaching, or technical questions. We would love to hear from you. info@ffpp.ca. And last but not least, Scoutfit, they are an interactive platform for youth of all ages to showcase their talent, from profiles to highlight reels. We put you front and center in whatever world you're in. Scoutfit gives you the tools to get noticed. Welcome to the show. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, and their website at scoutfit.com. And as always,
sorry, Sean, just interject one thing. Scoutfit has a brand new website up, new features in it, and it's worth a look if you're looking to get your kid noticed.
You bet. Well, Ken. Oh, sorry.
Just before we go, Jens wants to know if Ken's on Facebook. I don't know if Ken wants to admit to that on the air or not.
I'm not. But
good for you.
Yeah, you know what? That's something that, I got rid of it there last year. Just needed to purge some things, and some of those
stay out of the muck.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So
too much COVID talk.
Just wake up in the morning, look at your phone, just get angry right away, right?
Exactly.
No, just stop.
Yeah.
If I didn't administer the show, I still wouldn't have Facebook. Or I wouldn't have Facebook. That's the only reason I've got it. So anyway, thanks, Ken. Appreciate you coming on, buddy. It's good to talk as always.
Vortexcanada.net.
Yes. The website is vortexcanada.net. So
fantastic.
Yeah. And that is useful information.
Yeah.
Well done, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can everyone find you, Ken?
Easiest thing is you can call the head office direct, ask for me, or you can also send me personally an email, ken.t@vortexcanada.net. That'll come to me. You guys will be able to find me there, or if I'm not there, someone will be able to get you in touch with me for sure.
That's right.
But if you're going to
And,
email him with pictures of melted metal and glass, just don't bother.
I don't handle the warranty.
and being hopefully COVID subsides, we can get you out west a little more.
Absolutely, love to make another trip
Yeah.
out there and to do that.
Yes, sir.
And
We'll see you again.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Looking forward to it.
Well, as we always end the show, I'd like to end the show with a massive thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we wouldn't have a show in the first place. That includes Shane and Steve at Yin Precision Rifles, Miles Carey Cappy at callsign 66, Duncan and Rob from Bolt Action Coffee, Warren at Scoutfit, Doug and Niza from March Scopes Canada, and the guys at Bullseye North. You guys propped us up for a long time. We appreciate it. Who else am I missing?
Did you mention Phil?
Oh, Phil. Yeah, Phil. How do
you forget Phil?
Yeah,
Everybody knows Phil.
Phil.
It's about time for him to come back on the show again. I
That's
guess
right.
we've forgotten.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, he's so busy too. But anyway, Phil Odell at
Not for us. He'll make time.
Odell Engineering. Yeah, exactly right. Big deals. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Good to see you again. And let me get a outro prepped and see you next week. Or if we decide to have another
Later.
midweek show, we'll see.
Hasta
Appreciate it, guys.
pronto.
What?
Yeah.
You heard me.
Benvenido.
Speaking Spanish. No habla
Pronto.
español. No habla este.